So, how are you guys? Good. Me too. So, last week we talked about an intro to the class, basically. Intro to what I want you to get out of it, intro to small business in general, intro to the syllabus. This week we're going to talk about the LinkedIn profiles and professional development plans that I asked you to put together, and what I expect for those for the rest of the semester. And then next week we'll talk about finalizing your projects a bit, and then we'll get kicked off with all the fun lecture content. Not that this lecture content's not fun, but it's not the 8 skill set areas that are the key of the course. So, LinkedIn. Let me open up my lecture on LinkedIn here and turn this projector on. Okay, so professional image development, aka LinkedIn. I talked about this a little bit in last week's lecture, but there's 5 main things that I want to go over in this LinkedIn lecture. The first thing is just how powerful LinkedIn is as a tool. I'm going to go through the lecture first and sort of demonstrate at the end, but the cool thing about LinkedIn is that there's pretty much no strangers left in the world. You can find someone that you're connected to who at pretty much any company in the world, and someone with the skill set that you're looking for, pretty much any kind of skill set. You can find somebody that you're connected to with those skills, somebody you're connected to at any company you're looking for. It's truly powerful tool. Couple things about this, about how I want you to craft your profiles. It's important to have a positioning statement. Whether you want to be a small business jack of all trades, or you want to be an expert in drone technology, or you want to be an expert in financial services, whatever it is that you want to portray yourself as, you've got the opportunity in LinkedIn to put a summary statement in at the beginning talking about who you are as a professional. Very important to position yourself however it is that you want to position yourself, but important to do the positioning and think about who it is that you want to portray yourself as a professional. Also important to go beyond your work experience and really leverage the value of your educational project deliverables. A lot of you in here, the work that you do in your courses is more impressive than the work that you do in your actual job right now. Excuse me. So it's very important to take advantage of that and portray that in LinkedIn in the form of projects. Duties versus accomplishments, I'll talk about a little bit. Accomplishments are just listing off what, duties are just simply listing off what it is that you do in a certain job. So as a professor, I could say that I teach students, I publish journal articles, and I serve on various committees. It's true. It's not very value added. Everybody that knows what a professor does knows basically that those are the things that I do. What would be more helpful is to say that I've taught over 500 students in the last 2.5 years, that we've worked on 40 different small business projects with a value of close to $100,000 in consulting services delivered, that I've published 4 peer-reviewed journal articles over the last 2 years. Like those numbers, putting numbers with your job work makes it a lot more impressive. So I want to really push you guys in here to do that with your LinkedIn profiles. And then finally, the importance of polish and attention to detail. A lot of people complain that millennials or Generation Y can't write for crap, which in some ways is true, but really your parents couldn't write for crap either, and neither could their parents, and so forth and so on. It's just that the number of words that you are responsible for generating in this world are a lot bigger than they were a generation or two ago. There's just more words out there, whether it's on social media, it's on your work products, it's on websites, etc. There's just more words out there that you're responsible for generating. I think it's funny that people criticize spelling or grammar or so forth of the current generation. If you look back at like the Declaration of Independence, there's spelling errors all over the place. I think in some cases there's even debate at that time in history about what is the proper way to spell a word. Sometimes you spell word with W-U-R-D, sometimes you spell it W-O-R-D, and everybody knows what you meant. Well, those are terrible spelling errors, and those are from like really famous founders of the country. So I don't think that things are any worse now than they were then. The problem is that you're on the spot more. The Declaration of Independence, although you can go see it in a museum, when it was first written, it was written and it was in a room. It was only a few people that ever saw it. And even if the other people did see it, nobody else knew how to spell either. So it wasn't a big deal. At this point, if you have spelling errors, you have grammar errors in your LinkedIn profile, it's going to make you look unprofessional. So it's important that you continuously go through it with a fine-tooth comb and really polish the profile so that it looks as good as possible. So moving forward, your positioning statement, like I talked about. Here's my positioning statement for my own LinkedIn profile. International business development scholar, educator, and consultant with over 20 years of experience. Just who I am and how much experience I have. And then I mentioned a couple of areas where I have a specialty, like student coaching, lead generation, entrepreneurial project implementation, and then I talk about a couple of successful projects that I've worked on in certain continents. Straight to the point, that's what you guys want to. So if, for example, I used to be in the music business, as you guys know, for a long time, and if I were still in the music business, I would have a very different positioning statement. I would say international music business professional with over 20 years of experience. Specialist in mechanical rights licensing, South American event booking, and XYZ. Accomplishments, key player in a number of licensing projects of Brazilian artists abroad, outside of Brazil. I would put a very different spin on it if I were still in the music business. I want you guys to choose what positioning you want for yourself, and then just state, I am an X kind of professional with Y number of years of experience. And everybody in here has at least 4 years of project-based experience because you've been doing your associate's degree and your bachelor's degree for at least 4 years. And the work that you've done in those classes is project-based experience. So everybody in here starts out with at least 4 years of experience, and if you've been working in various jobs during your time in school, or you've been working on a job before that, you may have even more experience. So nobody in here, there's no one in here who doesn't have something to state here. And then I want you to state a little bit about what you're a specialist in, a couple of accomplishments, bang, that's it. Does that make sense? Okay. Leveraging the value of educational project deliverables. So when I was doing my MBA, similarly to this class, we had a project where we had to go out, find a company, and do a consulting project for them. So just like you're doing in here, I had to go out and do that when I did my MBA. And this right here is a description of that homework project. So I went in and put UCLA Anderson School of Management, so you guys would put CSUB, College of Business and Public Administration, Management 3450, Small Business Management, consulting project for X, whatever the company name is that you do your project for. And then in my case, there were 3 other colleagues that I worked with, and we basically did an accounting review for them, and we found 25% potential improvement in their profit margin. And so that puts numbers together with the duties that we had, ties it all up neatly in one sentence. That's a bit of a run-on sentence. I could probably break it up into 2 sentences and it might look even better, but you guys get the picture. Just 1 or 2 sentences stating what you did for the project. Everybody in here can certainly do that for the project you're working on in this course, and you can do that for your homework assignments and your various other courses that you've taken over the course of your time here at Cal State. Duties versus accomplishments. So this is an example of one of my students from a couple years ago who listed their duties, but not accomplishments. So assistant manager, Big Five Sporting Goods. Responsibilities included opening and closing the store, creating work schedules, receiving weekly shipments, entering them into inventory, all good to know. What I'd like to know, though, is how many times per month did you open and close the store? Work schedules for how many employees? Weekly shipments, how many weekly shipments? Entering them into inventory, how much was the inventory valued at? So those things tell me a lot more than simply listing off the duties. So, and you know, most of these things you can do off the top of your head. They don't have to be exact numbers. So if he opened and closed the store 5 days a week, then, you know, responsibilities included opening and closing the store approximately 20 times per month. If he had 4 people that work for him and 3 people that work part-time, that's 7. So creating work schedules for 7 staff. If you think about the fact that they got in shipments, let's say they got shipments of balls, they got shipments of shoes, and they got shipments of, what's something else at a sporting goods store we have? Jerseys, thank you. And they got shipments of jerseys once a week. So think about opening up the box and, you know, entering things into inventory. Figure 100 jerseys in a box. Each jersey retails for $40. So $40 times 100 jerseys should be $4,000 worth of inventory. Is that correct? Same thing with balls. Same thing with shoes. Just ballpark number off the top of your head. How many things were in that box and about how much do we sell them for? And multiply those together, and that tells you the value of the inventory you were responsible for.
If there's no numbers, you can correlate with your job.
Like what?
I'm a project administrator.
Uh-huh.
So I get the information from the project manager and the general contractor,
Mm-hmm.
and put them in a binder and give them to the foremen. And each job job has different numbers or different information that is required. So what numbers would I use?
Well, first of all, how many projects? How many binders?
There's different, a set, how, and at what period of time?
In a month.
It can be down to 0 up to 10.
Okay. So 5 to 10 major projects managed per month. I would that's a start for numbers. Can you tell in the folders how many people are on the project, or how many?
There, you can tell how many hours the job has, but that's not a set number because that's the bid number of the project.
No, that's good. So these are projects that are being bid to be
For us to get.
yeah, for you guys to get and then complete. So you know, would we say 5 to 10 per month, or 5 to 10 per week? I can't remember.
I have, as of right now, because we got the bid once we get the contract, and I start building the binders for them.
Mm-hmm.
But that job, I can build the binder now, and the job doesn't go until May.
Well, sure.
So
How many binders do you end up putting together per month, regardless of when the bid goes in?
just this month alone, I've done 10.
There we go. So approximately 10 binders per month, representing bids for what's the low number? What's a low number of hours, and what's a high number of hours for a bid?
I think right now our low one is, that I remember, like 300 hours.
Mm-hmm.
The high one is 1,200.
Yeah. So you could say responsible for managing approximately 10 business development bids per month, ranging in number of hours from 300 to 1,200. Period. Make sense? So grab the numbers that you can find and sprinkle them in there. Other questions on that before I go on? Okay. So duties versus accomplishments. Here's one of my entries for a job that I had as a headhunter in Los Angeles. So just one sentence. It's okay to talk about your duties, but just give me one sentence, not 5, about the duties. So, account executive responsible for acquiring, scoping, and managing consulting projects. Period. Deliverable accomplishments include the following, : and then you can put things like approximately responsible for managing approximately 10 business development bids ranging in hours from 300 to 1,200, period. So that would go here instead of generated over 100,000 in gross margin. Make sense? And just give me a couple of bullet points. Could be 1, could be 2, could be 3, about numbers of one kind or another that you've accomplished in that job. Polish and attention to detail. So I've made a couple markups here. At first glance, this looks nice. It's got some nice white space and black space. It's got the CSUB logos in there. I've made a couple of marks where things were wrong. So created a company comparison template between 2 rival firearms companies, showcasing. Showcasing is 1 word, not 2. Advancement struggles, for the years to come. Should be just for years to come, not the years to come. This here, we've got takes for a made-up company to run, period, utilizing skills. That's an incomplete sentence with the period placed where it is. Utilizing skills and decision making to help advice, marketing, image, advise, not advice. Just little things like that. When people are reading through your profile, detracts from your professional appearance. So make sure to go through, read over and over again what you've got. And whenever you find something that could be clearer grammatically, or you find a spelling error of some kind, fix it. So it's an ongoing process. I've had my profile for 7 years now, since I've really been actively maintaining it, and I still find errors, and I still find things that could be better. And periodically I'll go in and give it another look and update things and make them more clear. So let me go to the actual LinkedIn site and point out a couple things about the power of this tool now. Okay, so one of the coolest things about LinkedIn, like I said, is the fact that you can find a contact at almost any company in the world and figure out how it is that you're connected to them. So somebody in here, give me the name of a company to see who I know there. SpaceX? Oh. Okay, so if I type in SpaceX and then you see here at the top, top will give you all kinds of different results. People will just show you people you're connected to. Jobs, you can actually find jobs that are being recruited for. Now not all of these are actually SpaceX. Some of them mention SpaceX somewhere in the profile, but people, for example, you'll notice where it says second. These are second-degree contacts of mine that I know someone who knows them. So if I want to know just people that I know directly at SpaceX, I can click on this little first button here. And then you can see here, Prosper Ogaji Amayo. Interesting. So Prosper, first degree connections sometimes are closer than others. I had to think for a second about how do I know Prosper. Prosper is part of a technology community here in Bakersfield called the KIT community, and I met him at a networking event maybe 6 months ago. So he is listed as a student and software developer VP at KIT. How is he connected to SpaceX? We don't know yet, but let's click on his profile and scroll down. Somewhere in this profile is going to list a connection of one kind or another to SpaceX. Prosper, I know for a fact, is a student and does not have that high of a connection to SpaceX. So let's go back and look at my second degree connections to SpaceX. So here we got CEO and General Manager at Mojave Air and Spaceport. That's a good one. How am I connected to Karen? So you can see here, if I click on Karen's profile, it'll show that I know Jay Thompson, I know Cheryl Scott. The two of them know Karina Dries. So if I want to get introduced to Karina, all I have to do is call up Jay, who is a fellow consultant for small businesses here in town that I know, or Cheryl Scott, who is one of the heads of the current Economic Development Corporation. and they can introduce me to Karina. And Karina has contacts with SpaceX. Now, she's interesting already because she's the CEO of Mojave Air Spaceport. She's the replacement for, what's that guy's name? Stu Witt. Stu Witt was the CEO of Mojave Air Spaceport for a long time and then retired, and Karina has taken his place. But the reason I got to know Stu originally was because of Jay and Cheryl, so it's not surprising that they know the new one too. So that's a lot of different interesting space contacts right there, not just with SpaceX. But if we just wanted SpaceX in particular, we could go back, hit the back arrow here, composite technician at SpaceX. Johnny Hoogland. And you can see here that both I and Johnny are connected to RJ Polikin. So if I wanted to get to know Johnny, who's a composite technician at SpaceX, all I got to do is contact RJ. Make sense? Now, for all of you guys, if you're connected to me, you have access to all my contacts too. So if we go back here, you see how it says second here? If they're a second degree contact for me, there'll be a third degree contact for you. So that means you know me, I know someone, and that someone knows the person you want to meet. So LinkedIn will just put a little thing here that says second or first or third next to each of the contacts, and then you can see, you just click on the contact and it'll show you who you know who knows that person. You could do the same thing for skill sets. So what's a skill set that we might want for our projects? Don't everybody speak up at once. How about C+ programming? C++. If I just type in C++ and hit enter, once again, people that I know who have C++ experience. Now, these are third degree connections for me. Let's see if I have any first degree connections. Oh, Daniel Doan, Prosper. Look, that same. This is the cool thing. I met Prosper twice probably. He's a nice enough kid, but I don't know everything he's ever done. And there's no way I would want to spend my brain energy remembering everything he's ever done. But since he put C++ experience in here, all I have to do is type in C++, and I find that, hey, I know Prosper, and he can program C++. So all we got to do, if we have a project that needs C++ programming, call Prosper, see if he's got some time available and is interested to work on the project. It's just a truly amazing resource. Oh, look, Valerie Yona, another one of my former students. So a lot of contacts you'll see here that are first degree connections to me. Another former student of mine here. So I don't have to remember who has which skills, as long as you put those skills in your profile. So this is why it's so important to fill out the profile completely, to talk about specific accomplishments that you've had, because the other people can search on this and find you and the skill sets that you have. They can also find you at the company that you're at, and vice versa. You can find contacts at various companies, various people that have various skill sets. Once again, I am more efficient than I expected in my teaching. It's 11:30, and I've gone through what I wanted to go through today. Do you guys have questions in particular about LinkedIn from what I've talked about?
We're supposed to use our student ID or student email or a regular email, setting one of these things up.
For LinkedIn? Whichever one you use more frequently. I mean, you're gonna get periodic. Like if somebody sends you a message on LinkedIn, it's gonna send a message to your email.
Yeah.
So whichever email you check most often, Whichever email you want that to go to is the one
I
you should.
didn't know if that's how you found us, like when we connected, if that's how you accepted us, if we were, like, how do you tell if we're a student or not?
Because I have the class list of everybody's names, and I check the list of names to see, like, oh, that's a student, that's a student, that's a student. I don't cross-reference against the email. That's one step. That's one step further of work that I don't have to do. I just look at the class roster. Make sense? Other questions? Okay, well, get out of here then. I'll see you guys on Wednesday.